Parker, and I am the Language Arts Director at the Nebraska Department of Education. But prior to that, I was a classroom teacher, and one of the things that I was required to do as a classroom teacher for diagnostic purposes was to do running records. So I'm going to show you the program that I use for running records. And it's called Audio Note, and I actually didn't know about this program until I started working with Dr. Tricia at the Reading Center, doing some observations, and they were taking notes in Audio Note while students were reading. And what they were doing is they were using the record button, which is up here at the top, but it allows the student to record, or the tutor to record the student while they're reading, and then they were taking notes in Audio Note. And then Dr. Tricia was showing me how you can, highlight and mark over things and so on and so forth. And I said, you know what? Why can't you do a running record in there? And so I took it back to my office and tried it out. And sure enough, you can do it. So I went out and I found some text. Obviously, if you were doing this in a classroom, you probably already have reading sets, reading passages, things that you want to use for your running records because you have them leveled. You want to make sure you're not having kids do the same passage so that you're getting a cold read, if that is in fact what your goal is. You go in and select the text that you want. And I'm going to do it right here in front of you so that you can see you can actually do it. All I did was hold down in a spot. Do you guys know that trick? You hold down with your finger and it comes up with usually a select all or a select, and I can stretch that box out so that I can take as much as I want. And then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to minimize, and I'm going to bring up Audio Note. I'm going to hold down my finger on Audio Note and paste, and that will paste that text right in there for me. Now generally for a running record, depending on which program you're utilizing, depending on what you're doing, you're going to have about a 100-word sample. And so there isn't, a lot of text that you'll have to copy over. Okay? So once you have that in there, you can see that there's a cursor blinking. That is your text tool. Up here at the top, do you see where there's the T for the text tool? There's a writing tool and a highlighting tool. And I want to show you what those do. First, I'm going to show you the highlighting tool, which is over here on the far right. It looks like a yellow streak. Once you've selected that, you can use your finger to highlight text. So let's say you have a student who just left out an entire line and you want to get rid of that or show that they left that out. You can do that. Okay, another thing that you can do is select your eraser, whoops, maybe, and you can erase anything you do. So over here we also have the line tool. Do you see the one that looks like a squiggle? Okay, that's the one you're going to want to select. Okay, so you're going to select the squiggle tool, and as you have a student reading, you can make the notations as they're going. So I would have the student start reading, and I might say into the iPad, this is Susie Smith. Today is March 10th, 2012, and she is reading Mr. Coyote. So then I'm going to come over here. Susie's going to start reading, and she's reading along, and she says, Mr. Coyote was getting very old and has, oh, I see she's made an error, so I can really quickly write in what she said above it with my finger. Let's say she's missed a word entirely. Has to be more careful for his own, and she's missed safety. I can mark right through that word, and I know she missed it. Okay, so I get done. She's read the whole passage. And I get done and I go, you know what, I think there were some things in there that I missed. What's cool about having that recorded? You can go right back and listen to it. The other thing that you can do is off to the side, you see that envelope in the upper left-hand corner underneath the information icon, the blue eye, or I guess it's a white eye on a blue background. One of the things you can do is email this particular record to yourself, to a special education teacher. These are really, really cool because let's say you want to do a running record on a student once a month. Sometimes they have you do them once a quarter. You can go back and have the student listen to themselves, take a listen, say, oh wow, you know what? I used to be really choppy when I read. Or when I read, I sound a little bit like Wally, from the movies. I don't sound right. And so you can practice with them. have them working on that fluency. Have them working on their prosody so that as they're reading, it sounds like natural conversation. So there's just a lot of flexibility to audio now that I really love. Then, when you get done with your running records, what do you have to do? Who in here has done running records quite a bit? All right. What's the very next thing you have to do after you complete a running record? That most teachers hate doing. You have to do the calculations, okay? I found a couple different applications. One of them is Running Record Calculator. This is actually a free program. You can go into here, you can put in the time that it took them. I'm having a hard time, I'm having a glare here. You can enter the time, so let's say it took them 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The number of words was 100. Number of errors, let's say they made 5 errors. They had 2 self-corrects. Okay? And then it's going to tell me right there that that child had 95% accuracy and 1 out of 4 mistakes they made, they self-corrected. Did you see that information right there along the bottom? Pretty awesome. All right. You can also use it as a timer. So you can have this running in the background while you have the student doing it. It could be going on another iPad. If you're like I am, I kind of laugh because I'll look at my sofa at night and I'll have my laptop on my lap and the iPad over here open to a PDF and my phone doing something else entirely. And my children probably have the Nook and another laptop, you know. You get used to having all these tools. For us, it's no different than having one paper that you're doing calculations on and another paper that you're, reading from. So you can use that. All right. Now, this does offer the option for you to record if you would like, but you do have to buy the paid version of it. Okay. And then the other one, if I can find it on here, is the miscue calculator. This one's very simple. You put in the words read. So let's say we had 100 words. Let's say this time they had 9 errors, and you hit calculate. That one's not quite as sophisticated. I don't know if the paid version is a little bit more sophisticated. It's not something that I invested in because this isn't something I do on a daily basis. But the nice thing about all of these apps is that at the most, I found about 4 or 5 different running record applications. The highest cost that I saw for any of them was $1.99. Not really expensive. A pretty easy investment. With the paid version of the last one that I showed you, you can email the record to yourself. If you're working with a team, if you're doing RTI in your school and you need to email that information to the RTI team, you can do that as well. So, do any of you have an app that you use for running records, for literacy, for reading, that you'd like to share with the group? Because if not, I'll keep showing you apps.
I use a fluency timer.
Okay.
So you can just push record and then it runs for a minute. So there's music that you can just go back and listen to if there words per minute.
Okay, and what is it called?
It's just called Fluency Timer Free, I think.
Thank you for sharing. I wish I should have brought books to give away as reward.
Then
I would get more. Yeah.
I want to add 2 things about audio note. One is that you don't have to share it through your email. You can share it directly with the computer. If you press on the share button, it's got the wireless share button thingy. And that allows you to go on your computer into a browser and transfer those files without actually going through email. And if you've got problems with your email or you don't want this to flow through the internet and be able to go anywhere, you can contain that. And when you send that, and that is, I think, important, when you send that through an email, you can send just the PDF, so just what you wrote, or you can send it with the audio file. Because the audio files get fairly big if you have a large sample of reading. If you're doing 1-minute reading, it's not a big deal. But if you're doing something that is a little bit longer, or if you've got a student who's taking a long time to read this, and you're still willing to let them go through, the file can get rather large, and at that point sending just the PDF may make sense if you're not going to use the audio. So those are just a couple of notes. And I've got my favorite, which is an app called Track and Share, and there's a light version and a paid version. And Track and Share allows you to graph student performance over time. It's not built just for reading, it's built for anything you would like to measure. And it works, I think, rather well there's a free version. There should be a free version out there. And you can adjust it so you can have as many students as you want, and you can measure whatever you want from homework completion. But for something that you track on a fairly regular basis like fluency, it's actually really useful because it'll also graph. And you can put in what their goal is, and you can put all of these things in. So it's a really nice addition if you're doing something like that.
Does anybody else want to share one?
Have you ever done, I saw this at the Apple Store. It's, what's it called? Balloon animals, all one word.
Balloon animals?
Yes. It's so silly, but the kids love it.
And what does balloon animals do? You can make balloon animals?
You actually twist it on the screen, and then you start pumping it up and it explodes, but then you can like create a little movie vignette and take a picture of your balloon animal. It's kind of a fun reinforcer.
I'll show you really quickly one that Lori shared, and I know someone's sharing it in another session, so I don't want to go too deeply into it. But it's kind of neat. My kids have latched onto it. It's ebook magic. And I showed my now 5-year-old as of yesterday how to take a picture off of the internet, how to download it, how to put it in there, and then he had me type for him because he is just beginning kindergarten and he doesn't type yet. Give him a week or two. And so he went in and he made his own book. And he's a little obsessed with Batman right now, so he found all kinds of Batman pictures. Yeah. But he gave me all of the text for them. I'm trying to find my favorite picture, and I may have deleted it. Oh, this one. He brought this to me. You know how little boys are. He brought this to me and he said, "Mom, this is not at all gross because they're in love." So it was cute to watch him narrate and to watch him justify and create his text. So, all right. Well, then I'm gonna stop there. If you have questions, please let me know. But thank you for your time and attention. And if you use this in your classrooms, let me know because I'd like to have some real life examples you can share. Thank you.